so they're going to share with you a little bit about it.
Awesome. So my name is Kim Ellis. I teach kindergarten in the District of Montgomery. Before we get started, who knows anything about this whole SIM, School-Wide Enrichment Model, Dr. Renzulli? No, awesome. So we're starting from the ground up. Let me tell you a little bit how our journey began. 4 years ago, our first trip to Confortute up in Connecticut, we took 35-ish teachers. I was speaking to one of our administrators earlier, and she said, if the plane goes down, there goes Montgomery, because we took so many people to Connecticut with us. We got to spend the entire week there learning all about Dr. Renzulli's school-wide enrichment model. And the basis of this is it is school-wide. It is enrichment for every student, because every student has a passion, every student has a talent, and every student has a gift. So much like anything exciting, when you're totally immersed like that for that many days, we came home, we were excited, we drank the Kool-Aid, we shared it with our peers, and we took off with this entire school-wide enrichment model. We do have 4 separate elementary schools in our district. So as we began growing, as we began implementing this model, not only did we have a few bumps in the roads, which of course you always do when you implement something new like this, but each school started to take their own taste, their own touch, their own feel to this. So, you could come to my school and see what we do, and it's going to look a little bit different from what the other schools do. We implemented the next year. A few of us got to go back to Connecticut. We learned more. We brought more back. We made a few more mistakes, but we're getting this model down. We're very excited about what it does for our students. We're really excited what it's doing for our schools, what it's doing for our, even our educators. So, with that being said, Montgomery passed a bond. We were supposed to have had some new schools opening up. We'll see what's going to happen. We wanted to get a little bit closer in what this program looks like for each school. So this committee has come together this year. We have taken this to the board. We want their backing. We want their support in this, because at the end of the day, when you're doing something like this in your school, you want to call on your board members. You want to call on your community members. You want to call on your superintendent and say, bring your talent, bring your passion, and come in and share it with our babies. So we worked on this, we presented to the board, and now we're presenting to you guys. So we're very excited to be here. And I apologize. I teach kindergarten. I'm loud, and I'm one of these that I have to get up and do this. So if I'm giving you a little bit of a headache, just kind of say, whoa, ease out a little bit. Okay, so our guiding purpose, I'm not going to just read everything to you, but let's just touch on this a little bit. Students deserve the chance to find out what they enjoy doing and how they excel in different subjects. Well, sometimes they're a math brain, sometimes they're a science brain, sometimes they don't even know what they like. It's very interesting. We were at Confortute, and I believe I was with Dr. Marcia Gentry in this class. And she said, I want you to write down your passion. And it can't be your family, and it can't be teaching. And we stared at one another. It's one of these things, we're so caught up in being moms and being dads and being educators and being administrators. And we often put our own passions to the side. We don't visit those. I remember looking at my principal and I was like, taking my kids to softball? I don't know. What is my passion? And I find that if you ask a student that, what is your passion? Especially in kindergarten, they don't know. They don't know. I shared with the girls at lunch. I said, if you go out to eat, they're on their iPads. They're on their parents' devices. So this is really giving children the opportunity to dive into what they may be interested in. Now, you're going to learn in a little bit about our survey. We don't want to know what the parents think they're interested. We want to know what is their interest. What is their fire? What ignites them? What is going to get them excited to get up in the morning, put on their clothes, and come to school and be excited about it? Yeah. So, will you go back just real quick? I'm long-winded. We'll help them grow by giving them new and different ways to learn. Technology is great, but let's give them a little bit of balance. Let's take them out in the yard. Let's have them dig that garden. Let's get them dirty. Let's get paint thrown on them a little bit. More hands-on. So this enrichment is going to take the kids out of the classroom. We're going to break down those 4 walls, and we're going to bring the passion out in them. We're going to get them excited about learning. We're going to get them excited about educating, because at the end of the day, we got to light their fire somehow. We believe these new ways of learning will help our students become leaders in our community and our world. And let's face it, my babies, my kindergarten babies, I can't imagine what the world is going to look like. 18, 19 years? Are you kidding? I don't know what kind of world we're raising them for. So we're very excited to get our students enriched. Okay, what will the implementation do for our students? Oh, mercy. Obviously, it's going to help create relationships with students, problem solving, skills, working together, being teams together, sharing, my goodness, in kindergarten. Show the students that learning is fun. Get them excited. We were having the conversation at lunch earlier, and I'm asking, what time does your school do enrichment? What time does your school do enrichment? And what we find is, if it's early in the morning, the kids don't want to be tardy to school. If it's in the afternoon, the kids don't want their parents to come and pick them up early. They miss this enrichment. One of our sweet principals shared that, was it ice day? So they had to miss, they had a bad weather day because of ice. And that was on a Friday afternoon, and typically that's when their enrichment hour is. And she said she's standing in the foyer that next Monday morning greeting her students, and they're like, yeah, it's enrichment, Sim. She's like, no, that was Friday, you missed it. So it's to get them excited, yeah. Let the students discover that there are other people out there who like the same things. Imagine that. If we start talking to each other and put down our devices, we find out that other people like the same things we like. This is a rabbit trail. I just had this thought. There's a teacher that I've taught with for the last 8 years, and we've never been tight. It's just, hey, good morning, how are you? And then you go on about your way. But we went to a conference earlier this year, and I found out she's a foodie. Like, this woman's a foodie. And so now whenever we go out to eat anywhere together, I'm like, I'm sitting next to you because you're a foodie. You like what I like. Let's spend time together. Develop leaderships in students. Help students become self-motivated and problem solvers. Encourage students to be a valuable part of our community. Give students a niche to be a part of. They want to fit in, don't they? Help kids find what they are good at and use that to succeed. The bottom line that we want to get across, and you know this, they all have a passion. They all have a talent. And I tell my students all the time, you have that talent that I wasn't given. Let's dive into that, and let's get you excited about that.
All right, so I know you're all asking the question, where do you fit this into your day? STEM is a separate time that we have set aside for 1 hour each week. And that's that hour that Kim was saying. I mean, kids, they don't want to miss school. They don't want to miss their enrichment time. So we've had an increase in attendance. We have a huge decrease in negative behavior issues. I mean, when kids are there, they're there to do their job, and that's their job, and they are not going to mess it up by being naughty. So, I mean, we have no problems with that. This is, their hour. It's their time. We are just there as a facilitator. You're not there to do their job for them, and they just really come and work hard. So STEM is an umbrella. I want you to picture it as that, and there are all these different types of projects, I guess you could call them, that kids can get into. Now, it's different with each grade level. We have kinder, first, second, and fourth up here. And I can tell you it looks different in every grade level with every kid. And just like learning in curriculum does. So your type 1 projects are those ones those babies who don't have any experience. They don't have any schema, they don't know what they like. And so you're going to bring in people from your community. You are going to bring in the Skype. We Skyped with a shark expert in my room, and it was amazing. The kids from then on all they wanted to read about was sharks, all they wanted to talk about was sharks. She sent us a book, we created a new friend, we emailed her back and forth questions we had. Those are experiences that kids latch onto rather than a book or a Google search. Type 2 projects, that's when you start getting into second and third, and that's when you teach those kids how to research. I mean, nowadays you're like, okay, well, what do sharks eat? Okay, well, you can look that up in a book, you can look it up on Google. What is a reputable site to use? Kids forget and don't know that Wikipedia is probably not the best site to use. We show them how to research, how to do it safely. We talk about your digital footprint. Those are things, those are real life skills that kids need to learn, and they need to start learning them in elementary. Because when they do get to secondary, it's very important for them to already have that under their belt, so that when they get to these type 3 projects, which are basically them giving back to the world, how are you going to change? How are you going to change the world? How are you going to make a difference? And that's when you come in and your kids are coming up with ideas you would have never dreamed of. And those are the types of projects that you are working towards throughout STEM. Go to the next slide. So we just kind of map that out. So the type 1s, we kind of make sure that kids have that before you move on to type 2 and 3. You don't want to shove your kids into, because they automatically want to go to this. I mean, you'll get kindergartners who are like, oh, I want to raise money to, help the animal shelter. And we let them. I mean, we let them raise money and donate blankets and food, and they loved it. But really, the true process of STEM is it's still school. You are still learning. You still have an academic piece to it. You are still teaching them those real life skills again. So they do need experiences and exposure. They do need to have some type of training and research, and then that's when they can truly give back.
So, how do you get them to know what they like to do instead of saying, oh, I know, my passion is Legos, which it is a passion, and we have patty tracks that are Legos, and they're fabulous because you don't have the little booklet. You have to recreate what you want, and you're working with people with like interests, like they were saying. So we have on the back of your handout that you have is just a sample list of some that we looked at. I mean, if you think about it, think how many interests are in this world. I mean, and there's more than even this right there, but that's just kind of a taste of how many different things kids could be exposed to. And so we have different schools do it different ways. Some of our campuses have done total student surveys. They say what they like, and then the teachers pick from that list what they're going to do. In other schools, the teachers kind of look at a similar list, and they say, you know what, I'm pretty good at volcanoes. I want to know about volcanoes. I'll do volcanoes, or something like that. So it just depends on what works best for your school, and your school can do different things every year. But so the students have a survey, and our kindergarten survey has pictures, and it has, I make a PowerPoint so they can see what they're voting on, and then it has a picture to match. So like if it's dancing, which was one of ours, so it had a picture and a little synopsis of what it was about, and then there was a picture of some line answers, and if they had to pick like 4 that they were most interested in. And again, it's not the parents, not what your parents think you're good at. It has nothing to do with them. It's total from the student to the SIM coordinator or the teachers, however the school decides to divvy that out. And then the kids get put into groups, okay? Or some classes have done it per class, where you're in your own class and you're doing it. It really, guys, is just what works best for you. It's about getting those kids immersed in things that they love, finding a passion. And then the older kids obviously don't need pictures. Theirs is a straightforward, like a voting bag. They can even put it into Google Docs themselves, to help with the process.
So overall, we're building a generation of 21st century learners. And a lot of the times, those kids are walking into a 20th century school. And it's hard, and I know that you're looking at it and you're thinking about money and you're thinking about how are we going to organize this, but it's a process. It has taken us 4 years just to get to the point we're at. And it has been a roller coaster ride. But overall, we have bettered our kids. And they come to school at least with some sort of knowledge of what they do and don't like. Kids will get into a class and say, I hate this. And that's also a real life skill. You are not going to love everything you try. And we're breaking down those 4 walls. We are using the technology we have available, and we're using it to its fullest extent. We are getting kids on Twitter and Facebook and Skype, and we are teaching them how to use those resources to get out to people that they can't reach in real life. You know, that shark lady I was talking about earlier, she's all the way in California. You know, there's no way I could get her down here, but we found a way, and we talked to her. Our community has been a huge help. We work from top to bottom in our district. Our superintendent, he's doing it. He did a class. He did a golf class with some kids at a school, you know, down to our secretary, our nurse. They all have skills. You know, some people have secret skills that they don't really advertise. And you kind of find out what people are great at and what people love because kids bring that out in you. We as a district had to come up with, because we do have things a little different at each school, we still need to follow a model that is purpose-driven. So we came up with a list of non-negotiable and negotiable terms for our schools. And I'm going to go over just the non-negotiable, and then Andre will carry on. This has to be student interest-based. We kind of started off where it was teacher interest-based, and it's like, I'm really good at cooking, so whoever wants to be good at cooking can come learn from my lesson that I cleaned out, and here's all my pots and pans that I brought. But that's a club. And so we don't want to start forming clubs. We want to start forming, okay, well, you forgot this ingredient, what are you going to do? Or you forgot to say thank you for this, what do you need to go do? You know, teach them to write a thank you note. Okay, we had a guest speaker. They need to come in and be welcomed. This needs to be student-driven, not teacher-driven. The teacher is the facilitator. She is not going to come in and run the show. We are going to stay unique to MISD. This is followed off the Renzulli model, and he's a fabulous educator. John Convertute, as we mentioned earlier, we'll get into that when we talk about our staff development. But we are staying true to our ideals, and you got to make it work for your district. You know, your budget and your kids, because the demographics are different everywhere. There has to be, and I think this is probably the most important, there has to be an underlying academic piece. And that comes out naturally, and I think that we as teachers are so type A in that sense where we want to, hey, well, these are the cheats we need to hit, and this is what we need to do for our kids, and you can't go in with a lesson plan. You have to let the kids pull it out. And it comes out naturally, you'll find, and you know, it might be a first grader who's doing a third grade teach, and that's fine, as long as they are pulling something from it that's real life. I mean, I had a girl who wanted to design dresses. I'm like, okay, well, you have to measure your fabric. You have to come up with how big your model is going to be, and you have to deduct from that fabric, and then you have to talk about how much string you're going to need, and how many needles, and then you bring in the math of how much it costs. And those are all things that happens in real life. I go to Hobby Lobby and I'm like, oh, how much do I need for this? And I have to sit there and pull out my 4th grade math skills, and it's a little tough. So, and then all type 2 courses, those are those research pieces, will include a planning piece. This is very important. Don't do it for your kids. Make them do it themselves. Let them fail a few times, and they will catch on. You know, that research piece is really important because it's hard when they get to 4th grade and that 4th grade teacher is teaching them how to Google. They should already have that under their belt and ready so that when they are in 4th grade, they can move on to type 3. An authentic audience. This is a little different at each campus that we do. Some people do a big showcase where you give students kind of a time to showcase what they've done so far, whether it be a model or a digital presentation or an oral presentation on what they've learned and what they've created. And others let the students showcase as they create. You know, some finish faster than others and create faster than others, so why make them wait to showcase? So it's just dependent on what your teachers are comfortable with, what they feel like takes the pressure off. because that is a big piece. You know, you want to make your teachers feel comfortable. I know we were all scared to death when we first saw this, and it was a process. And I mean, we first, like I said, it was a bunch of clubs, and we realized, okay, well, this isn't fitting us. We're out, and they're all hybrid. You know, this should be the other one. So I think that authentic audience for them, presenting to a parent, they all want to present to my principal. Like, okay, she can only see so many presentations a week. But whoever they want to do, making an invitation, that's another real life piece. Professional development, make it available to your staff, because I mean, we're all learners and we're all eager to go out and show me. And then all hands on deck, that total staff participation that I talked about. Our superintendent, all the way down to Mr. Patrick at our school. Everybody's involved. Everybody has a job. So it has to be big buy-in.
Hey. And then when we started looking at the non-negotiables, we stepped back to, well, where are we going to give a little bit of leeway? And we started with the showcases. And like Katie said, each elementary has a different look to it. And when we started out, again, being educators, we have that timeline. And we're like, we have a 6-week schedule, we have a 9-week schedule. Well, you can't ask a student to dig into their passion and drive deep and say, but you have until March 25th to get that done. So we stepped back and we said, well, what if we let it go? What if we start a kindergartner and they go through the elementary system in 4th or 5th grade and they're still working on that same passion, and they get there and they decide, okay, now I'm ready to go to that authentic audience and I want to Skype my grandparents who live in North Carolina, or I want to go to the principal, I want to do that. So we stepped back and we said, we can give a little leeway there, and we can say, you know, if you want to have that timeline. Our showcases do look different. We were talking the other night, and we said our showcase at my school, we do bring in the community, we bring in the parents, and we do a huge showcase where you go through the halls and the kids present what they've done over a period of time. And it hit us, and we said, why haven't we, for the parents that maybe couldn't get off work that particular day, because a lot of our kids, to make it feasible during the day, it's scheduled, so they go from 9:30 to 10 or 10 to 10:30. Maybe mom or dad couldn't get off at that time, but they all have a cell phone, they all have a computer. What if we say, hey, from 9:30 to 10, what if we Skype you, what if we FaceTime you so you can see their presentation? We have the technology in hands, we've just never thought about it. So as our time goes on, we think a little bit more of how can we drive the passion, because when you have something that you're passionate about and then you're able to talk to other people, it just grows deeper. And then like Kim said, you're sharing and finding, oh, I like that too. So what does it look like for our teachers? Deer in headlights, that's what it looks like when it was first presented. I didn't go to Comfort I had several teachers on my campus that did go, and Kim being one of them, and they came back, and yes, they drank the Kool-Aid, and yes, they were excited, and they said, we're going to do this. And then we were standing there going, we're going to do what? We're going to do all of this, and you're not going to teach. How do you tell a teacher that they're not going to teach? That they're going to stand in and they're going to let the kids do everything? So that's hard. And I will be honest, we still have some of our teachers that were going, just breathe. You can do this. We found if you go in when you have the topic, and a lot of us go in, like Jill said, we began and the teachers were picking what they were passionate about. And then we stepped away and said, no, it's got to be the kids. And then you end up with rocks and minerals. I don't know anything about rocks and minerals, but I walked in and I asked the kids, why did you pick this? And they start telling me, well, I love obsidian and I love, pyrite. And I'm going, you're in 2nd grade. How do you know these rocks? Minecraft. I had no idea. They're playing this, what I think is a video game. No, it's really building their knowledge. So we went through and I went, fine, teach me. And it ended up their passion that particular year. They wanted to go out on the playground and dig up different rocks, and with my principal's permission, they went out and they wanted to make a guideline of the different rocks that were found on our playground. It took it from a type 1, just knowing rocks, and moved it into a type 2, type 3. Just like that. I had nothing to do with it. It was their passion. So if you just take your teacher away from it and allow the kids to talk, they really will lead you. So opens the door to creativity, and you don't need lesson plans. And that's the hardest thing. Friday morning, here are 8, 10, 12 kids coming into your room, and you're going, I have nothing. Here they come. Just talking to them, asking them, what are we going to do today? Another e-track that I did, I have to share with you because that was the year that I stood there, and it was weather and science. And they came in, and when they first came in, we did a Venn diagram. And I had hurricanes, and I had tornadoes, and I had earthquakes. And when it came down, I had one student that would come in and very, very, very passionate about tornadoes. And he would come in every Friday, and he'd talk about tornadoes. Well, as the time went on, the other kids got involved because they were listening to him. He was teaching me things. And so when it came down to it, they made a tornado in a box. They made posters. Everything that they did for their showcase was all them. I was standing there and literally went, do we need anything? They said, yes, we need more paint. I'm like, I can do that. I can get paint. So it is, no lesson plans needed. And to watch them, it was goosebumps because they were driving what they were doing. So it was really exciting. So you can be that model too. Get down, get dirty with them. And like I said, I've learned so much over the past 4 years about different topics I would have never delved into had it not been for this sim model. So our staff development, where did we begin? Again, it kind of goes back to what Kim said. We visited Austin Elementary in Capel, and they already had, when we first visited them, it was their first year. They were moving into their second year, so they kind of guided us along the way. We had our teachers that went to Confortute, and with those two things combined, we started teaching our teachers as they came in, the ones that were already there, and as our new teachers came on staff. And we began to help there and do the development through that.
All right, so now what? You know, you're like, okay, this sounds great, but my teacher's not going to go for it, but I need to figure out a way to make them. So we invite, this is one of the other sources that we used, the School Enrichment Model by Renzulli. And we also, when we visited Austin, a lot, I didn't get to go to Capel, but I did visit Austin Elementary, and you get to see it in action. So we want to invite you, if you are interested, to come to Montgomery, email, let us know, you know, what would be a good day for you. We can let you know what day different things are happening, because again, our schools are at different times. And so you can come and see us. We also, on your pamphlet, we're hoping to have a Sim Camp. We had a little unexpected construction going on June 22nd. So that's kind of on hold for right now, but there is a phone number at the bottom, and we have your email address if you signed in. So definitely kind of keep that in the back of your head. Yes, this is something that I want to pursue and maybe think about for the next year, but I want to do the research now. Definitely email or call, and we can welcome you to our school. And if you come to the camp, that's when we're going to have examples of the surveys and pass out all of that kind of information and dig more deeply into how did we actually make it happen in our Montgomery schools. So.
I mean, this is something that, you have teachers of, all ages and all levels, and we wouldn't have taken 2 days out of our summer to come to do a dog and pony show. This is something that works. This is something kids love. They're passionate about. Their teachers become passionate about. Your administrators. All of ours are in this room right now. We have the best team. Your team is your family, and your kids. They want to be a part of that family. They're just dying to get in. And I think when you give them free rein to be passionate about something that maybe they're too timid to come out about, you give them that chance. It cultivates their interests and talents. It gives them all a voice. And I think that's what's great about teaching. That's what we're all trying to do. And this program really does it. So.
We hope that you learned a little bit about SEM and maybe have repeat an interest. And there was a sign-in sheet that was going around, again, very high-tech. It was on a pad of paper. If you have yet to see that, please make sure you sign in, because we will send you flyers, information. But before you leave, this was also very high-tech. You need to look under your chair.